Hello, welcome back to The Plant Plan. Today, I wanted to talk about some popular misconceptions about healthy eating, food, nutrition, all that sort of stuff. But first, hi, I'm Lindsay, and here at The Plant Plan, we talk about eating well for health and longevity and fat loss if you need to do that, and muscle gain. Most of us do need to do that. And today I wanted to talk about some misconceptions because I got the idea from a video I watched this morning, a live video I watched on Stephanie Perry's channel. The video was called Don't Forget to Rest Your Palate for 2026 with Chef B for Black Women Embracing Ease, which I love. I loved the whole video. The discussion between them and in the chat was amazing. And by the way, I'm wearing my lifelong Black woman shirt for the occasion. I thought that was wonderful. And that's, you know me, that's part of my whole story. That's why I resonated so much with that. And so I wanted to talk about some misconceptions here because the discussion between them and in the chat also reminded me of some common things I hear in the health and nutrition space, and I wanted to talk about it. So there's four main things that really struck me in the conversation and things that were popping off in the chat. And I wanted to break those down. The first thing was sugar. Sugar's a big one. It's like the demon child. Everyone loves to hate it, but then we also love to love it, and there was a lot of sentiment around, just steering clear of sugar, eliminating sugar from your diet and things like that. There's this idea that sugar is bad, and that, we should not eat sugar at all. The problem I see with that, or the misconception there, is that one, sugar is bad. There's nothing that we eat that is bad, right? There's no one thing that, unless if it's poison, or you're allergic, then those things are bad, but there's no food that is bad. I think that's really important to note, not just about sugar, but about all these things, all food. It's really important to deeply, truly understand and believe that, because when we disagree with that, we start getting into places that we should not get into mentally. But in any case, let's get back to sugar. I should state that your body breaks down everything into glucose, right? Every carb that you eat gets broken down into glucose. The more processed the sugar is when you ingest it, the quicker it gets into your bloodstream, right? So like a refined sugar, for example, a white sugar, even a brown sugar, it has less fiber, it has less structure. So it just kind of goes right into your blood and spikes your blood sugar. If you are under-muscled, if you are sedentary, if you are diabetic, pre-diabetic, them sugars got nowhere to go, right? And okay, now you have an issue, right? Sugar isn't bad in itself. I would say just eat more wholesome more often. You can have those sugary treats, but they should, in your mind, be treats. They should be, you should lean on other foods, right? Especially if you are sedentary and not active. Now, if you are really active, right? Like marathoners, for example, they need to eat simple carbs like sugars sometimes, right? Straight up glucose. One of my clients this summer was training for, not a marathon. He was training for, oh my gosh, the fact that I forgot is horrible. I was working with him for months. He was training for Ironman. He was training for Ironman in California this past October, so all through the summer. And part of his training was really finding really good gel packs of glucose that he could ingest while he was running. That's not bad. That was necessary and in fact good for him to ingest that. He was processing it through his high level of activity, and he needed that quick energy into his bloodstream, into his muscles to keep him moving. Sugar is not bad. It's not bad for us. It doesn't like magically change us into like whatever, you know what I mean? It's just how your body is processing it, and your body composition is going to determine how your body is processing things, your how you've been treating your body over time. It's not the item that you're eating, it's a combination of things and a confluence of things, right? So just sit with that, rewind that. I know I speak fast. I'm a Harlemite. I'm a New Yorker. If you need to like slow that down and hear it again, sugar is not bad. You may want to eat less refined sugars. You may want to lean more on things like fruits if you have a sweet tooth. You may want to do things like really sitting down when you're having a sweet treat, sitting down and really enjoying that, right? Maybe the key for you, and everyone's different, right? But this is a tip that may work for you. And it's something that worked for me when I was trying to kind of reduce my, knee-jerk reaction to grab something sweet, is when you grab something sweet, don't say, no, I can't have that, because that's like recipe for, binging on it later. So sit down, have a reasonable piece of that, sit and really concentrate and enjoy it. Don't have your phone out, TV, podcast, website, scrolling, music in the ear, blah, blah, blah. Cut all of that out and only take in what you're enjoying out of that, whatever, muffin, cake, candy, whatever it is, chocolate, whatever the case is. Really enjoy the hell out of it, because that's what it's there for. Please enjoy it, right? Get the satisfaction of having that. And then now you are not craving it. And you're not going to go and restrict everything else that you're eating. And then now you are undernourished. And then when you are like, F it, let me go eat it, now you're going to eat a million of it, right? So anyway, that's a little bit of a pro tip. My main point here is to say sugar's not the demon, sugar's not the devil, it's not bad. It's just a food item. Okay. The next demon ingredient that it's weird the circles that this food tends to be popular and not popular in. Soy. It's so funny. There are groups of vegans, and I notice that a lot of times it's omnivores, especially men. And then in the vegan plant-based crowd, it's usually Black people. I don't know why we hate soy so much. It's a bean. I'm laughing because it's a bean. It's I don't know why the vitriol is there for this bean. I understand there's a couple of reasons. I'm making fun here, but there are a couple of valid reasons that I understand that people get bogged down by. One is the whole GMO thing. There are a lot of GMO. There is a lot of GMO soy that is grown in the United States. And a lot of non-organic and GMO and all of that. The majority, and when I say majority, I mean the bulk of it, basically the entirety of it, all of that soy that is grown goes to feeding animals, goes to feeding farmed animals. So if you're eating those farmed animals, okay, you're getting by proxy that soy. If you are buying tofu, read the label. That is non-GMO, typically non-GMO and always organic in the United States. I have yet to find a non-organic, non-GMO tofu. You may find a non-GMO, a textured vegetable protein or textured soy protein type of thing. In protein powders, you will normally find organic soy. There's varieties and combinations of this, but as far as what we're ingesting, it's for the most part, all of that GMO non-organic soy is going to feeding cows and pigs and whatnot. So, you know, there's that. The other major argument is the whole estrogen thing. And how do I explain? So soy does not contain estrogen, right? It contains what's called phytoestrogens. I mean, it's a fancy name of saying plant estrogens, right? But it's like compounds like isoflavins and like lignans and things like that, that basically they're structurally similar to estrogen, so they can bind to the estrogen receptors. And depending on the type of tissue that it is, like where it's located, depending on what your hormone levels already are, like what your estrogen levels already are, and different hormones, it can act differently in those tissues, right? So it can either activate or block certain gene expression in your cells, right? Depending on those factors that I mentioned. So that being said, for most women, in most, if not all, of the public health recommendations that I've seen say that soy is safe for folks at all stages of life. And I mean, you shouldn't be replacing baby formula with soy. So that's one thing I would say. But other than that, soy foods are actually recommended for women in menopause, right? I don't want to say that soy is kind of magical, but it's a pretty dope bean. It is one of the few plant-based protein sources that contains all 9 amino acids in the amounts that, if you take all of your calories in the whole day from just soy, you would have all 9 amino acids in the appropriate amounts that you would need. I mean, all plants have all 9 amino acids. I just want to state that. But, they have varying amounts. Soy has them in the right amounts all by itself, and it's a complete, that's what we that's what we mean by complete protein. So it's kind of an amazing thing, and it freaks me out sometimes when I hear folks saying like, don't eat soy and soy is bad and this and that. Now, I mentioned before about the hormones. If you suspect that you may have some weird hormone things going on, or you want to get the okay from your doctor that it's okay to have perhaps a higher than normal level of soy, please go ahead and do that. I am a rando on the internet that likes to read and likes to nerd out, as you can probably tell by now. So, I don't be taking your don't be taking your medical recommendations from me if you have an actual issue with your hormones. But all of the public health recommendations, and remember, when they're making public health recommendations, they're trying to reach as many people as possible for what's safe for the widest variety of people. They're all saying that soy is absolutely fine. Now, we can go into conspiracy theories about how they're all trying to kill us and all of that. A lot of that is valid. I understand that, but the avoid soy at all costs thing is a little bit unfounded as far as I am concerned. So yeah. So my next point is that there are no magical foods, and yes, I just said that soy is magical, so I will take that back. My next point, my third point, is that there are no magical foods. And what I mean by that is that there's no specific food, ingredient, or whatever that you can add or eliminate to fix chronic illness or problems that you have. There are no superfoods that are actually like magical, you know what I mean? Like there's no supernatural element here. There's no herb that has, heretofore been undiscovered. It was just, some bushman somewhere in Bhutan discovered this berry and folks don't know and all that. Like, no. Superfoods are a marketing scam. Stop searching for that one quick trick. I feel like a lot of times when people are asking like, oh, what's a good food for blood pressure? They are looking for something that will allow them to maintain the rest of their habits that are producing the high blood pressure, because it's really hard to change those things. I don't want to say they don't want to change them, but it's harder to change that. And it's easier to include beets, right? You know what I mean? And okay, beets may be able to help, but it's going to have a much better boost if you do all of the other things. Those other things are going to help way more than the minor bit of help that the beets or whatever, goji berries or whatever it is that's going to do for you, right? So no tea concoction is going to, cure diabetes. Like, no, you know what I mean? Now, sometimes, and I'm giving the benefit of the doubt here, sometimes when folks offer up these, I don't want to call them remedies, but sometimes when folks offer up these solutions or these things is like, oh, blank helps with whatever ailment. Sometimes, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, sometimes they may mean that it can help suppress your appetite or replace other items in your diet that are not helpful for the goal that you're trying to achieve. That makes sense, right? But otherwise, there's usually no other magic behind it. There's no chemistry, fun things that are happening that's doing anything. It's habits done over a longer period of time that can help affect change in your body. And that brings me to my fourth thing, processed foods. Wow. This one, I don't even know if I still have the energy in me to, this requires its own video because it's a huge issue for me. I take a lot of issue with it. I mean, you could probably tell already that I'm going to take issue with this. I'm a vegan who eats, the Beyond things and the Impossible and the Gardeins and I mean, it's not like every single meal, but I include those in my diet. And I have been able to lose weight with it. I've been able to reduce my blood pressure with it. I've been able to maintain my low cholesterol with it. My triglycerides are like basically off the scale, on the good side of the scale. It's actually like so far down that they were like, we haven't seen this before, but I guess it's good. And I was like, cool, I'll take it. Processed foods, the way that phrase is used is, I think it needs a little bit more nuance. I take issue with that because, people will say things like, oh, well, if you can't pronounce an ingredient, then you shouldn't eat that food item. I'm going to be a little extreme with what I say here. I'm going to be a little, sarcastic and facetious here. But like cyanocobalamin is kind of hard to pronounce if you've never seen that word before. But that's like B12. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's necessary to consume. It's not something that is naturally in our diets. And we will like get nerve damage and stuff if we don't eat it. Like even omnivores, like they supplement, like they'll inject animals with it so that they can have it. Like they have it in their feed so that they can have it so that you can then have it. I believe this is, I should have looked this up. I think it's like something that like a vitamin that bacteria create and process, but because we kind of don't eat out of the ground anymore and don't like kind of wash, don't eat, dusty, unwashed food and stuff like that. Like it's harder for us to get it in our diet, something like that. I don't know. There's a whole food story about how our food system is just bereft of B12 and now we have to supplement it everywhere. And that's why B12 is in everything. But if you see it spelled out, it says cyanocobalamin or something. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but I know what it is and I've heard it enough. because I'm kind of like in this sphere and I can read it. Does that mean that if someone can't read it, they shouldn't consume it? Because someone might read that and say, oh, I was told I'm not supposed to eat things I can't pronounce, and then leave it be. Conversely, remember when no one could pronounce quinoa properly? Everyone was like, quinoa. Remember that? Like 2006 or whenever it was becoming big. Kale, right? People didn't know what the hell kale was. Remember that? So I know I'm getting into semantics here, but like, and like our skin, right? Makeup is another one. Our skin absorbs so much and it goes directly into our blood system, but we are happy to put makeup and lotions with ingredients that even chemists probably have a hard time with. But we use those, right? We want to make sure that our skin is, not feeling rough and crusty. Well, I mean, some of us, just never zoom in on my videos, please. Please never zoom in on my videos because my cuticles are crying anyway. But you get what I'm saying here, right? It's ideas like that really kind of get us bogged down into good foods and bad foods. Ideas like that really get us into like a this or that type of thing. And the whole processed food thing is something that's an oversimplification of food and what it is. In fact, there's the NOVA classification system, which I think still has some issues. But it's a better way of thinking about foods. It's a classification system, and I'm sure it's an acronym, and I don't remember what the hell those letters mean. But it's an acronym that breaks down the levels of processing of food. There's levels to this, right? So the first level is unprocessed or minimally processed foods. And you'll see me talking about this all the time, right? Unprocessed and minimally processed foods. Then I think the next level is processed food ingredients, right? So it's going to be things like cooking oil, salt, which yes is a processed food, right? Because salt just doesn't come out of the earth. You have to kind of get it to the point where you can sprinkle it on your food. Butter, cheese, probably honeys, like things like that. So like kind of condiments, not condiments, but anyway, cooking ingredients, right? Processed cooking ingredients. And then the next one is processed foods, right? Like processed ingredients. And then the following is ultra processed, right? So that's going to be your, processed meats like bacon and, blah, blah, blah. We can see the issue even there, right? Like it's not split up in like tofu, for example. Tofu, for example, would be on the processed or ultra processed, right? Because there's many steps to get it to that point. But like, it is entirely wonderfully wholesome. It's been around for centuries. It is a great protein source, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it would be listed up there. So I do have some issues with that system. But again, it's something that helps us think of it in a more nuanced way, other than out of the ground, off a tree, good, everything else bad. It doesn't make sense, right? And my major thing is, and I know that people who talk about processed foods in that kind of way, and I know, additionally folks that say things like, if you can't read it, don't eat it type of thing. I know what they really mean is that they just want you to think twice about what you're eating, right? That's the main point. And I understand that. I'm not, kind of grabbing their point and taking it over there where they're not intending for it to go. And they're fair and accurate in that sentiment, right? Like we're here. We're on the same page. But my point is everything is chemicals. Ingredients unknown to us are not unknown to food scientists, right? I'm not saying we have to trust them implicitly. I'm not saying you could go ahead and eat anything and, in any amounts, with any type of regularity and you'll be just fine. I'm just saying that not everything that doesn't come out of the ground or off a tree or off a bush is bad. And that you can include foods that are processed in varying levels into your diet and not fall dead tomorrow or get some chronic disease. And in fact, if you have a chronic disease, you can still implement those things with care into a well-planned diet and still be all right. And in fact, be pretty good and pretty well off. There's a lot of things wrong with the US food system. I would be the first to say that, or perhaps I'm not, because I just went off and said everything's fine. But you know, it goes without saying that we have a lot of things that we can improve on, but we do have to be a little bit more discerning and not create an environment where people feel like it's absolutely impossible to eat healthy, because then it gets people into this like, okay, why bother trying, instead of what I like to give to my clients, which is the idea that better than yesterday is good enough. Right? That's the major thing that I try to talk to my clients about. Better than yesterday is good enough. A lot of people come in with this energy, like, you know, first meeting where it's like, I'm going to be perfect and I'm going to start the thing in January 1st and and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, let's slow our roll. Do not, and this now I'm talking to you, do not get bogged down by special foods to eat and not eat. Do not get bogged down by, you know, all these steps and different things that you have to do and all these new, you know, tiny habits of things to include in your water and you know, what certain amount of steps you got to reach and and what to, you know, don't eat bread, like all of this sort of stuff, right? Your overall diet is the most important thing. Your overall diet is the most important thing. What you're doing 80% of the time is the most important thing. Eat more plants. I put that hashtag on every single video. That is my whole point. There is a reason why this is called the plant plan, because the plan is to just eat more plants. That's it. Right? Because 100% will get you burnt out fast. 100% will get your New Year's resolution to maybe January 31st. 100% will get you back to your regular habits real fast, or unfortunately, it may have you developing disordered habits. And I won't go further in that because I'm not equipped to have that conversation. But you can see where it could be a slippery slope, where you just start eliminating things, or you start understanding that, you know, these foods are good and these foods are bad, and you know, you just kind of create weird habits around your food and your eating, and you develop weird habits, and your social situation gets all weird because you can't go out with your friends, and like it becomes a whole thing. So please, 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 as we are thinking about how we can improve ourselves 1% better each day in the next year, even starting now, hell, let's think about just that. Right? Like, how can we just be a little bit better? How can we be better than yesterday in what we're putting into our bodies, right? A little decision at a time is really what's going to get us to where we want to go. And on that note, if you're looking for help in getting to your new year resolution, getting your new year started, you know, getting the muscles popping, you know, maybe getting some of the fluff off a little bit, you know, getting your metabolism right. Listen, I have paused coaching at the worst time. Like, what health coach pauses their coaching in December and January? Like, that doesn't make any sense, but that's what I'm doing. I need some rest, pausing for a while. And I mentioned the reasons why in my last video, so go check that out. But I have a few things that may help you out for January as you're moving into the new year. I have a 4-week body weight exercise guide linked below. This will help you get started on how to exercise. There's a lot of information on how to begin. You're basically going to use that as a guide. It has a calendar set in there where you can log your workouts and put all of that in. So I'm over explaining. Everything is set up for you in that guide, and I think it's really, really useful. I've been getting some pretty good feedback on it. And it's made especially for women and for beginners that are starting on their health and fitness journey. A lot of them can be progressive as well. So if you do have some equipment at home, I do have some alternative exercises that you can do instead of the body weight. But if you don't have anything, that's the perfect thing to do, is body weight exercises. I don't know where that accent came from or where that accent sounds like it's from. I don't know. And then I also have a 30-minute meal planning session where we can walk you through how to create a wholesome, personalized menu for a week. And then you can replicate that. I can show you how to replicate that moving forward. Now, I'm limiting those to only a few days, a few slots in January. So I want to make sure that you don't miss out on that. I have limited time as I am frantically decluttering my apartment. And with that, just be well, eat more plants, hydrate, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Hi, Editing Lindsay here to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and do all the things that helps YouTube know that you want to see this content in the future and that you're trying to help a sister out. I appreciate you. I always forget to say that, but I appreciate you. Okay, bye.